Hello, TM24 here, and we are back with some more Marvel Snap content. Now, if you've clicked on the video, you know what's going on. I'm showing you 7 different ways that you can pull off Galactus in Marvel Snap right now. 7 different ways. Some are really cool, some are really easy, some are much harder than others, and some you just need lucky. I do have one bonus one at the end that you need some extreme luck to pull off, so you don't want to miss that one. I will talk about the deck and go through it after the footage, but let's get into the 7 ways you can Galactus. Alright, so I'm rocking the purple. I've got the purple lights. It's all about Galactus today. And as you can see, the first one, it's the classic. Now, if you've played Galactus or even just played Marvel Snap, I'm sure you know what's coming. Good old Electro coming down on 3, with our buddy Dr. Octopus coming down on 4, followed by Galactus, and then typically it's Knull and Death and everything else, and you just lose the game. But as you can see here, we do have Electro. We get him down on 3. And we are lucky enough to draw Dr. Octopus. We're of course gonna pull it into a location that he has nothing, so we can pull as many cards as possible out. So Dr. Octopus comes through, and here we go. We're emptying his hand for him. Obviously not what he wanted. This is probably one of the most frustrating ways that Galactus can be played, at least against you. At least the other ones have some style. This is just straightforward, super efficient, and to be honest, very, very frustrating. So they do end up getting a really lucky here with Phoenix Force pulling their Knull. So they can move that, but as you will see here, I don't know if they just weren't thinking or what their plan was. They know that I've got Electro down. They're ahead, so they could easily stop this. They know we're playing on the compound, but what do? Whatever they can. We emptied their hand for them. They are in a rough spot. We are free to just slam our Galactus down, and that's what we're doing. We're just waiting on them, and as you can see, we do have Death in our hand. We don't have Knull yet, and they just hold off. Ouch, that's typically how it works with this, the classic. Again, that's Electro into Doc Ock, into Galactus, into Death or Knull or all of it. This one probably feels the worst, I would say. If I had to rate it in terms of effectiveness, it would be way up there, but in terms of how it feels to get this played against you, this one definitely doesn't feel good. You just feel helpless. So overall, not my favorite way to Galactus, not too much style, but an extremely effective and efficient way. They get a Carnage and a Death down, but as you can see, not even close to being enough. Now this one is just the turn 6 jam. So obviously that means we are just gonna drop Galactus on turn 6. Now I know you're looking for the cool ways. I promise you those are coming, but sometimes the coolest way is just bluffing your way to that win. And that's what we are looking to do here. So as you can see, the game is playing out, and we've got a couple cards that we can get down. We've got Sunspot, we've got Green Goblin for the next turn, we've got Jean Grey, Wave, but we don't have too much in our hand as of yet. So we're just trying to get some power down and see what we can do here. Fist Tower doesn't really make too much of a difference for us. Neither does Wakanda. We do decide to go with Green Goblin into that center lane. So we are trying to negate the Forge there, and obviously we're planning for a Galactus at some point. It's just a matter of when that Galactus is going to come down. So Green Goblin comes through. They counter with a Killmonger, which of course takes out our Sunspot and Boss. Obviously not ideal, but ultimately not the end of the world either. Now we do pick up Knull, so Knull is a really nice pickup and will definitely allow us to get some power down to make them think about what they're doing. They go with Mr. Negative, which is a really nice play and kind of a little break here, but that is a really cool Mr. Negative if I've ever seen one. But as you can see, we're gonna drop Knull into Atlantis. They come through with a really nice Iron Man. onto Wakanda. Now, the nice part is we are ahead. It is turn 6, so you know we are jamming that Galactus into the center. Now, if they play pretty much any sort of power there, we are going to be in trouble. So this play definitely takes some courage to get down and hope that you win here. In terms of effectiveness, it's going to be much lower than the previous one, but it's more fun. There's risk involved, so it feels like a good play. Galactus comes through. Obviously, we're ahead, so we don't even get to see that last card of theirs. But again, another win and a different way to Galactus. Now we're on to the third run, and this is Goblin Galactus. So as you know, and as you can see with this deck, we've got a couple of goblins in here. So we might as well make some use of them. Filling their lane with Green Goblin and then Hobgoblin is as good of a way as any to get Galactus down. Now, it is extremely telegraphed, so typically they know what you're doing. Obviously, you know what you're doing. It's just a matter of if they can stop you or not. In this instance, we are able to get Sunspot down, which is great. Ideally, with a play like this, you want to be ahead going into that Galactus play on 6. So getting some power in Sunspot, having Green Goblin and Hobgoblin in hand, ready to go, feels really nice. Green Goblin coming down on the mirror dimension early is going to be great for us because Crimson Cosmos, as you will see here in a moment, is going to make things a little more difficult. But because we've got Hobgoblin, because we are going to draw Galactus, as this is all about him, so you know it's coming, we already have a plan in place. Now, they did destroy Multiple Man, which is a really nice play for them, but are they going to be able to get enough power into that Crimson Cosmos to beat us? Probably not. Definitely not. I know what happens. You guys know what's happening. We are taking him down with the Goblins. So, as you can see here, turn 5, we're going to go ahead. We are going to get that Hobgoblin into the Crimson Cosmos. We do have Galactus ready to go as well. He does move Multiple Man. And then, I forget what he played here. Oh, he played Shuri. So he was going to go all in on Washington, D.C. here. Now, we do get Hobgoblin down. In order for him to contest there, it would be really, really tough. Even getting Multiple Man there, he only gets up to 2 power. Now, if he played something a little bit stronger there, you know, at least he gets up there, but he's got to overturn essentially 13 power, and that's going to be really tough, especially in a move deck that isn't really looking to do that. Now, as you can see, he does go with the Multiple Man play and Heimdall, but Heimdall doesn't do quite enough. 2 Multiple Man gets him up to 16, minus 11 gets him to 5. Not quite there. So we end up getting that win. Galactus again, this time thanks to the Goblin. So that's our Goblin Galactus. But now we are on to Spider-Man Lock. Now this one I really, really like. Again, it's a little bit more telegraphed. You're locking down a location with Spider-Man, but obviously you need to get Spider-Man out of the way. And the way that you do that is by playing Iron Fist on 4. Now, the way that this deck is built, you kind of have some options. As you can see, we did pick up Shuri on, I think that was turn 2 we picked her up. And picking up Green Goblin is always nice. Whatever lane you're going to look to Galactus, if you can get Green Goblin down on there, you are in good shape. But as you can see, we have Shuri, we have Iron Fist. Now, we could wait until 5 and go with Iron Fist into Shuri on 5, into that Hellfire Club. That would get our Galactus up to 14 power. In this instance, we decided to go with simply Iron Fist to start. They're playing everything into the Dark Dimension, so that makes me think it's some sort of a, maybe a discard, like a Hella discard deck, or maybe they're hiding like a Patriot or Cerebro or something behind there. I'm not really sure, but we've got the chance to kind of lock them out of the Hellfire Club with Spider-Man. We're ahead because of Baxter building and Iron Fist, so we are in really, really nice shape here. So we do play our Spider-Man, and we're just waiting for them to make a play. What I'm really hoping is that either they're just passing or staying away from the Baxter building. And the reason that is because we want to be ahead going into turn 6 with this play. So Iron Fist comes down. They do play an Abomination, but as you can see there, only able to get up to 6 power, and 7 beats 6. We're ahead in the other 2 lanes, so we know Galactus is gonna proc first, which means we should get a very, very easy win here again. This is one of the more fun and interesting ways. It is very, very, like I said, it's easy to tell what's going on here, but in some cases, you just can't stop it, and in this case, that was the case. Galactus getting another win, this time thanks to Spider-Man locking our opponent out. Now, Wave Lock. This is one that recently came to be, all thanks to Jean Grey. Now, I know this one plays out... Well, actually, I'm sorry, not Jean Grey. This is a different one. This is Wave into Galactus into Spider-Man. Again, one that has been around forever, one that is very, very frustrating and just makes you want to quit the game. But as you can see here, we're ready to go. We've got Wave, we've got Galactus, and we have Spider-Man. Now, the one thing that I was worried about here was getting too much power thanks to the Nexus into those other locations. So I've got to decide, where do I want to put Galactus? I'm thinking Sinister London. As long as they don't put too much power into the Nexus, I should be okay. They do come through with a Venom, which is a little bit scary and ultimately gets them up to 10 power there. So he doesn't proc on Sinister London, but when he flies over into the Vault, he does, which is great. Now, typically turn 5, we'd be able to Spider-Man and just win. In this instance, the Vault is already going to do us for that, but this is how you lock them out with Wave. Wave, Galactus, Spider-Man, win the game because only you can play on 6. Again, one of the more frustrating ways to be, to be Galactus against, but one of the easier ways to win. And as you can see, our opponent was not happy and he retreated. Now, I talked about this one briefly, but we've got Shuri power. So what are we looking to do here? We're going to take advantage of Shuri and buff up our Galactus to make sure he's up at a nice healthy 14 power, making him very, very difficult to beat. In this instance, Elysium comes through, which is really nice. It's going to give us some discounts that allow us to make these plays a little bit differently. The discounts are great, but ultimately it's the same line you're looking to play here. But because of Elysium, we're able to get some cards down that we otherwise wouldn't have been able to. Regardless, the plan remains the same. Now, they do get a nice play here going multiple man into Carnage. So obviously, we're looking at a Phoenix Force of some sort coming down, but we do pick up our Galactus there. Now, we do decide to put Omega Red down into the hub. We're hoping to be ahead by enough that we can have have priority. We want to go first if possible, but they're way ahead in that far right lane, so a little bit difficult. The Vault, obviously not ideal for us, and this is turn 4. So we've got options here. We could go Hobgoblin, we could go Green Goblin and Electro. Obviously, Hobgoblin makes the most sense here. So we're just going to toss Hobgoblin into Elysium, that center location. They do counter with a Taskmaster, which is a really nice copy onto that Venom. 14 power in those 2 locations, but picking up Iron Fist gives us a plan. We're going to get our Galactus up to 14 power, and then it's all going to be on how do they stop us. Now, I did kind of have to think about how I wanted to do things here. I've got the option of going with the Green Goblin first and then putting Iron Fist all the way into the Vault, but after thinking through this, I don't think it makes a ton of sense to put Iron Fist into the Vault, simply because I'm not going to win that location. Even putting Iron Fist there doesn't really look like I am. Ultimately, I did decide to just go ahead and play him into the Vault. I honestly think it was probably a mistake, but not too big of a deal. They do feel like they are in really good shape by sending those Hobgoblins back over. But Iron Fist is going to come through, push Shuri out of the way. So obviously we are playing into Elysium on that final turn. Now, if something like a... oh man, pretty much anything could wreck us here, but Red Skull is not one of them. An Odin would have done it, a Cosmo would have done it. He just needed more power, but in this instance, Galactus is too much, and we win thanks to Shuri power. Another nice way to win there, and now we're on to the Jean Grey one. So this one we're calling Jean Grey Last Play. Now, this deck isn't ideal for the Jean Grey line of play, but I'll explain how it works regardless. So the idea is you want to wave on 5 after Jean Grey has been played. Now, the reason you want to do that is because it'll force your opponent to play their 1 card onto the Jean Grey line. This game works out a little bit differently, but this deck is a little bit tough to pull it that way, simply because we don't have a ton of cards that are low enough that we can get down early enough on that Jean Grey lane, and obviously we need to fill it up as well, otherwise we can't pull off the Galactus play. So we're playing Sunspot onto that monster lane with the plan of playing Jean Grey there if we get it. We do have Galactus ready to go, so obviously the rest of that lane would look like Jean Grey and wave. Now, as you can see, we don't pick up either. We're kind of in a tough spot here, but we do have Green Goblin, so whenever you got the chance, Green Goblin is coming down and gonna make life difficult on our opponent. So that's what we do. We play Green Goblin and then we wait to see what they've got next. Now, Magic is great. Magic is gonna extend the game, and of course, we could always play Galactus on 6 and end it early, but we don't necessarily have to do that. Now, turn 4 comes along and we do pick up Wave. So we're thinking maybe we play Wave, maybe not. As you can see, in this game, we just passed. We know that if we pick up Jean Grey, we can go Jean and Wave on 6. Now, they filled up Limbo, which is a little bit tough for us because we need them to play on the Jean Grey lane. Now, the only lane that we've got is that Monster Island. We do get a chance to get Hobgoblin down, but again, they are in a position where they don't have a whole lot of board space. Wong does come down into the middle, and obviously I'm a little worried about an Odin or something like that, but we pick up Jean Grey and we got Wave as well. So we're gonna play both into that Monster Island lane, hoping that they aren't going to be able to do anything here. Now, they're at -9 in Wakanda, which would make it very, very difficult for them to win that lane. So they did fill this Monster Island lane with a Mystique, and I can't remember what this card was off the top of my head. We're gonna see it right now anyway, an Ironheart. So they're gonna get some power down. They hit twice into that middle lane, so they're still at -5 and need to overturn 12 power. Definitely possible, but you see how it's supposed to work. Fill that Jean Grey lane, make sure that they haven't, so that they have to play their last card there, and then you just pick between the other 2 lanes which one you want to go to get your Galactus down. In this case, I really only had one option in Wakanda, so we do destroy everything else, and they play a Silver Surfer, which is going to give a little bit of a buff to the Green Goblin, but ultimately Galactus gets the job done again. And here is your bonus. Turn 1 Galactus, all thanks to Project Pegasus. So obviously you know what's gonna happen. Galactus on 1, and just hope that they didn't play too much power there. Now, we do have Green Goblin and Spider-Man ready to go, so our turns 3 and 5 are already mapped out. All they played was Wong and Zabu, so Galactus was free to come down, and we've limited this game to 1 lane, and we have a bunch of annoying cards that we are ready to play. So obviously we're passing on 2, and they're going to do the same. Turn 3 rolls around, and Green Goblin is ready to come down again, making life very, very difficult for our opponent. So Green Goblin comes through, and it's turn 4. Now, again, we feel fine just passing. We have Spider-Man ready for turn 5, so that's the plan. Turn 5, get Spider-Man down and see what we can do. They do go with Ironheart to get a little bit of a buff and see if they can do some damage here. They get all the way up to 7 power, but with Spider-Man coming through, we're going to lock them out on turn 6, meaning we will get a nice, easy win. Now, I almost made a mistake here. I was looking to play Hobgoblin. Honestly, I shouldn't have done that, though. If they had Jeff, I could have been in big trouble. So make sure you think through your plays. Alright, so you've seen some gameplay, you've seen 7 different ways that you can pull Galactus off, and you saw a bonus turn 1 Galactus. But if you've got any other ways that you can pull Galactus off, please put it in the comments below so that I can give it a shot. And if you haven't subscribed or liked the video by now is as good a time as any. So please do subscribe, like, turn your notifications on so you don't miss any other cool, interesting videos like this one. And until that next one, have some fun.